Hello and welcome to the first episode of History Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has always been at the crossroad between the east and west, north and south, which is particularly true for its early history, when the modern-day borders came under the occupation of the Scythians from the north, followed by the Medes from the south, Achaemenid empires from the east, and Alexander's empire from the west. Zoroastrianism was introduced to the region by the Achaemenids, which became the main religions for the nation at that time. After the collapse of Alexander's empire, Caucasian Albania, as modern-day northeastern Azerbaijan was called, became a vassal of Armenia, but this was not to last. Armenia soon became a subordinate in the fighting between larger power of Parthia and Rome. This had first occurred during the conquest of Pompey, when Albania detached itself from the now Roman puppet of Armenia into its own puppet state, subordinate to Iran. For centuries, Albania switched places many times, as much of the Caucasus did, between loyalty to the Romans and the Parthians. In the mid-3rd century, the Sassanids had conquered Persia and soon after the Caucasus and kept it out of Roman hands from then on. Kept the Albanian king as a puppet, but the satrap held all the power. While part of the Sassanid Empire, Armenia had converted to Christianity, and Albanian's king, with close ties to the kingdom to the west, was soon baptized by Gregory the Illuminator. This was accepted at first by the Sassanids, but when Rome also converted, they felt that having a Christian subjects would prompt them to ally themselves with the Roman in case of an invasion, so banned all Christians from the nation. This prompted Albanians, along with other Caucasus Sassanid regions, to rebellion, as they did not want to abandon their faith. In the fought battle, the coalition forces were defeated, but the damage inflicted on the Sassanids made them reconsider their policy, and they allowed Christians to mostly keep their religion. But as the dynasty that had ruled Albania for centuries died, the Sassanids replaced it with the Sassanid Zoroastrian dynasty. During the 7th century, a nomadic Turkish group called the Khazars had expanded west and conquered most of the southern Caucasus, including Albania, and made it into a part of the Khazar Khaganate. The major reasons for the Armenian influence in Caucasian Albania was the location prompted over time closer to the Caspian Sea, and the Sassanids turned the original Albania to part of Armenia. When they together under foreign occupiers, the Albanians and the Armenians also had to work together to have a chance to fulfill their own goals. Armenian writing was also present in the country, and Christianity united the two regions, not just by religion, but also language, as Albania adopted Armenian religious terms since they did not have a native written language until the 5th century. The two states also had the same dynasty under the Sassanids, linking them even further. An Eastern Roman hegemony was not to last, however, as many brutal wars between each other had left the empires vulnerable to Arab conquest from the south, and both the Sassanid Empire and the Southern Roman one were conquered in a few short years. The first Muslim foray into the Caucasus was through Albania and southern Azerbaijan, and perpetrate an unsuccessful war against the Kazakhs. After some fighting with the Byzantines and a few back and forth, Russians eventually took control of all of the southern Caucasus, even though Albania and the rest of the Caucasian kingdoms became the tributary, where Christianity was allowed with a higher tax. There were still attempts to convert the population, and especially the local rulers, and many still preferred the Byzantines, so revolted with Byzantine aid. So it was decided that the vassals were to be shared by the empires. Albania only paid the Romans. The Umayyads soon lost the power over the area, but when a more ruthless caliph, Marwan II, took the throne, the Caucasus were conquered from the Romans once again, with less humanity, as many of those who survived the conflict were tricked into being locked and burnt in churches. To increase their hold of Albania, the Arabs deported many local leaders to be replaced by their own settlers, and be able to hold an invasion against the Khazars to the north, with heavy tax on Albania to fuel these efforts by Marwan. Marwan was overthrown by the Abbasids, who appointed a not-so-ruthless leader to Albania, which made for a more peaceful time for the area following his death. Abbasids had many more non-Arabs have more rights. The Albanians were not included, which prompted them and other North Persian ethnic groups to rebellion, which was crushed, and soon after Albania lost its client state status and was slowly being erased as a political entity after shifting the Albanian ethnic group to the Azeris, who had converted to Islam, while those who were Christian became Armenianized, and other Muslim Armenians became more and more Azeri, dividing the Armenian and Albanian identities on religious lines. The other major factor in shaping the Azeri identity was the myriad of Turkic former steppe nomads which settled in Albania, such as the Khazars, who after some time being Jewish converted to Islam and managed to wrench Azerbaijan from the declining Arab Caliphate, without managing to take full control themselves, but still influencing the region's culture. But the largest Turkish influence came with the Ghaznavids, followed by the Seljuk, who expanded into Persia and beyond. Azerbaijan during the previous centuries had gotten more autonomy, caused by the waning power of the Abbasids, and the area was very ethnically mixed, but during a short period in the 10th century, even had their independence. During this time, it was also probable that the name Azerbaijan is derived from the Persian region of Aturbatane, which is continuing as a mostly geographic title, with many local nobles vying for power with the help from the northern Turkic tribes, which further integrated them into the former Albanian society until the Seljuks came. The main reason for the Turkification of Azerbaijan under Seljuk was because it was used as a launching area for further incursions west. While they came into the area peacefully at first, raiding and pillaging soon occurred with the local lords, mounting a defense, but were defeated by the numerous Turkic invaders, surrendered only to rebel and become completely crushed. The Turkification of both North and South Azerbaijan was slow, and Arabic and Persian remained the primary written languages for many centuries in the area, and Azerbaijan became, as it almost always has been, a melting pot of different culture. The northern state of Shirvan remained semi-independent, while the southern one became part of the Iraqi Seljuk state, which wanted to expand north into Azerbaijan or Shirvan, who had allied themselves with Georgia and managed to keep the Seljuks away. It continued to ally itself with rising local powers to stay alive amidst larger and more powerful states than its own. Even with the Georgian alliance, Fabros of Shirvan had to pay the Seljuk a large sum of money to keep them away. To keep this profitable, he also opted to conquer in other regions he had secured neutrality from, both Georgia and the Seljuks. But the alliance with the Georgians became more and more strained as the Georgians tried to influence Shirvan more and more and wanted to make it a vassal. But relations became better when they united to fight the Seljuk back uprising and subsequent invasion. After a large earthquake which shattered the economy of the Shirvan capital, it was instead moved to Baku, as Georgians rose to power, and their dynasty became more intertwined with Shirvan, became more and more as a tributary to the Georgian state. Azerbaijan, the Seljuks declined further, which led to a decentralized Azeri state being formed that consisted of many local warlords who banded together for protection. The Mongols under Ugade, having conquered most of Persia and Central Asia, invaded the Caucasus and slaughtered and plundered the way through Azerbaijan and Shirvan, destroying almost all of the major cities except Baku, as they wanted to keep it a winter capital, and Tabriz, since the leaders in southern Azerbaijan paid a huge sum of money for them to spare it. The Ilkhanate, which ruled Persia and the South Caucasus after the Mongol collapse, soon befell the same fate, falling into many smaller states, which left the Timurids as the major power in the region. Sloan lost its power in the western part of the country, including the southern Caucasus, which instead fell to the Turkish Karakonkulu and Akkonkulu. That's where we'll leave Azerbaijan for today. Next time we'll see how Azerbaijan handled being in the middle of the power struggle between Russia, Persia and Ottoman, and much more. Hope to see you then.